and welcome to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant, Sabapathi, and Ozer Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Prashant, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good to see you. Ozer, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. I love your green tie. It's very nice. Looks very nice.
Thank you.
I know you both have been so incredibly busy. Obviously, the television show has been receiving a lot of phone calls, and people are anxious to come in. They want to sit with you. They want to talk about planning their retirement. So thank you both for always making the time to come in and do the shows. I know people look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, we love doing them, so it's good. It's always nice to take some time away from the office and try to put out as much info as we can, because at the end of the day, I think the more information that people have, the more good information that people have, the better decisions that they're going to make. So this is a welcomed part of our practice and a welcome part of the work that we do.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you both so much. Well, a lot of people have been calling in and they've been asking a very specific question. They want to know, what exactly is a retirement income gap? Obviously, we've talked about that on the show in the past. And so, Prashant, do you mind if we dive into that a little bit further? What exactly is a retirement income gap?
So I think the first step in helping to, or starting to plan your retirement, is understanding how much income it's going to take for you to live your most fulfilling lifestyle. That's what I always say. So that's a good place to start. How much income do you need to live your best life in retirement? For some people, that's $3,000 a month. For some people, it's $5,000 or $10,000, right? It's going to be different for every single person.
Okay.
But where we start is, once we have that number, and hypothetically, let's just say that number is $6,000 per month that you need to live your best life. You then have to identify all of the sources of reliable income that you have coming in. When I say reliable, what that means to me is income that is not dependent on things that are external factors, meaning like the stock market or interest rates, things like that. So you want to add up your pensions, your social securities, all of the sources of income that you can count on, minus the taxes owed on that income, and see what that leaves you with. So you take your after-tax guaranteed income and you compare it to your income need. And if there's a deficit there, that's what we call the income gap. And so the key, in our opinion, to unlocking your retirement is making sure that there is no gap in your retirement income. So if you need $6,000 a month, but after tax, your reliable income is only $4,000 a month, you have a $2,000 a month income gap, and you should be figuring out how you're going to close that gap in retirement. If you can figure that part of it out, that's going to allow you a heck of a lot of comfort in feeling good about where your income's coming from in retirement.
Sure, sure. Ozer, I should ask you, what causes people a lot of times to have a retirement income gap? Would it be something as simple as perhaps credit cards with high payments due to high interest rates? Is something like, would debt be a reason that people would have a retirement income gap?
Everything can be a retirement income gap, but for when I look at the income need, what I'm looking at it is your basic needs, which we talked about this before, like, the insurances for the houses and the cars and everything. If your house is paid off, like, the taxes for the house and the groceries and the phone bills, all these things are the needs. Then extra, money that we need for the travel or splurging the kids, the grandkids, that whatever we wanted to do, when we put all these numbers together, that number is the income we would like to have. Then we make up the other stuff, that how we're going to pay for this. The Social Security money is coming in, if you have the pension money is coming in, and if you have the annuities coming in, and if there is any gap or not. And I also like to calculate the inflation is going to happen within the next several years, because I like to be safe than sorry. I'm like a worst person, worst case scenario person guy.
Right.
I want to calculate it the highest number, and if something good happens, you're just going to be happy.
Absolutely. And that makes perfect sense, because obviously if you're not factoring in inflation, that would be a recipe for disaster and cause the retirement income gap.
I think it's one of the biggest mistakes that pre-retirees and retirees make, is not considering inflation. And you know what? In the last decade or two, inflation has kind of lulled us to sleep, right? It's been pretty much non-existent, very low inflation. And so we didn't have to worry about it. But I think over the last, I don't know, couple years, we've seen since the pandemic, trillions of dollars being unlocked by the government to fund stimulus and those types of things. And now what we're left with is, unfortunately, 40-year high inflation. And so you got to ask the question, what if that inflation continues? I remember in 2022, at the beginning of the year, everyone was talking about inflation being transitory, right? And that was like the hot word in the news, transitory inflation. You couldn't turn on a TV with somebody saying inflation is just transitory.
It's true.
Meaning that it would go away really quickly. And guess what? It never did. It just keeps getting worse and worse, right? And so if we're not in a transitory inflation phase, how are we going to deal with that? Okay, the Federal Reserve has said we're committed to getting inflation down to 2% or 3%. Well, we're still like at a level where we're not even close to that.
It's true.
Right? And so if this continues for the foreseeable future, where is your income going to come from? A lot of times it used to be while the market was going up, people would just pull their income out of the stock market because they were making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
Well, remember that old saying on Wall Street? It was what? Buy low and sell high, right?
Absolutely.
And now we're in a time where we're not selling high. And so nobody likes to pull money out of the market while the market is down because you want to let it recover. But the challenge is if we need income to account for inflation and the market is down at the same time, where's your income going to come from, right? And if you do pull it out of the market, are you putting yourself at risk of running out of money quicker because you're not selling at a high point, but you're selling at a low point? Does that make sense?
It does make
sense.
sense.
So these are the types of things that I think people have to be concerned about. And we know that they're concerned about them because they come in and talk with us all the time about this stuff.
Yeah.
And so what we've been able to do is help people map out their income for the rest of their lifetime. We do it using something called the Retirement Income for Life plan. And that's part of what you get when you come in to visit with us. What we do every show is we open up our phone lines. That phone number is 833-308-5200. When you dial that phone number, our operators are standing by to help you schedule a visit with our team at Elite Income Advisors. When you come in to visit with us, it's just a conversation. It's totally complimentary. You're going to share with us what your retirement objectives are. We're going to help you determine how much income you're going to need to retire comfortably. And then we're going to help you determine where that income is going to come from. And we'll figure out whether or not you have an income gap. Now, candidly, most of the people that do visit with us do have an income gap. What we've been able to do is go through proven strategies and techniques that we can use to help you eliminate that income gap and actually create more of a surplus as opposed to a deficit. So it really starts with you making that phone call. It's 833-308-5200 for that complimentary, no obligation visit with our team. Or you can pull out your cell phone and you can scan the QR code here, which will take you to a landing page to schedule that complimentary visit.
Prashant, thank you so much. And Ozzy, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 833-308-5200. We know that you have a lot of questions for Prashant and Ozzy about how to plan your perfect retirement. They have the answers for you. Again, if you have your smartphone handy, go ahead, grab it. Click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you directly to their landing page. We're going to take a very short commercial break, but when we come back, I'm going to talk to Prashant and Ozzy about how you can build your fiscal house. Stay tuned, 833-308-5200. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there every square. Happy birthday to you. You can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Ozer Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Gentlemen, a great show we're having today, talking about the importance of planning for retirement. We talked about the retirement income gap in our first segment. In this segment, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about building a fiscal house. Prashant, what is that? Building a house, and I'm wondering what is going to be on the bottom, your foundation.
It's going to be, yeah, you mentioned it, it's the foundation, right? We want to make sure that everybody's financial house, meaning their financial plan, has as strong of a foundation as possible. You know, I think about, you turn on the news and you hear all the news of all these hurricanes and things that are knocking things over in the South, in Florida or whatever.
Yeah.
But what you always see is you see people's roofs get damaged, you see some of their yard work get damaged, but it's not like the foundation ever falls apart and the whole house, you know, blows over, right? And so that's how I think about retirement, is it's just a financial house. And in my opinion, the key to creating a strong foundation for your financial house is your income, right? Stock market is going to go up and down. We know that. And nobody can time the market, okay? We can't tell you the best time to get in or the best time to get out. But I think if you had a reliable income coming in every single month that is enough to cover your wants and needs in retirement, then you don't need to worry so much about what's going on in the market. I mean, yeah, we don't want to lose too much money ever, because that's not a fun thing to go through, but it becomes an easier thing to go through if we have income that we can depend on. So when you're building that financial house, start with creating the strongest foundation possible. In my opinion, that's creating the highest income possible in the safest way possible.
Okay. What are some safe ways to build that, actually? I'm just curious. I know the viewers are thinking of that as well.
So we have to look at things like pensions, right? If you have a pension, that is a safe way to create income.
Okay.
Social Security is another form of foundational income. Sometimes real estate can do that. If you have a rental property or something that's giving you reliable income, that's great. Believe it or not, there's actually annuities out there that are great ways to produce income that is guaranteed in retirement. Now, with that being said, anytime you're considering an annuity, there's so many different moving parts to that. You got to make sure you're getting the right type of annuity and that it's accomplishing for you what it's supposed to, okay? A lot of times we see people get into the wrong type of annuity, and that could be a bit of a disaster. So you want to make sure you're working with the right specialist to get that type of thing together. But when it's done correctly, it can be an extremely powerful income generating tool in retirement.
Excellent. Ozer, what else goes into the fiscal house now that we've covered the foundation?
No, we covered the foundation. I think we're good. You know? Let's build some walls. Let's, you know, after the building the wall, you know, they put the roof and everything. But what Prashant says is the main thing is to make sure that we have all the needs being covered, which is the guaranteed income streams are covered. And the rest of the things, it's all variable, which the rest of the things are like, okay, if I put money in the market, you know, how much money I'm going to make. And we don't have the crystal ball knowing if the market is going to go up or down. But the one thing that we do know, there is not just one solution good for everyone. And what we also need to consider is the long-term care down the road. It's what's going to happen. Are we going to need the long-term care or not? Or how are we going to pay for it? And the other thing is, like, you cannot put all eggs in one basket. We want to make sure that we put some money in the market, we put some money in the guaranteed income stream places, and we put some money in the bank. And that's how we can take care of everything, and that's how we built the house.
And that's kind of where we start to think about the walls and the roof, right? So I think about things like the walls would be my more moderate risk bucket, right? It's not the stuff that I'm like in super high risk that hopefully will give me super high growth. It's in the more middle of the road, balanced, moderate risk investments. Now the roof is going to be your higher risk investments, right?
Okay.
So if you think about it, you want a foundation, moderate amount of risk, and then higher amount of risk in the roof. And so that's kind of how I look at it, is you want different buckets of money for different points in your lifetime, right? So that foundational income is for your income right now. The moderate income, moderate risk, maybe for 5 to 7 years from now. The more high risk stuff is probably for 10 years and beyond. And so that's how we kind of think about building out this financial house.
All right. And when you're speaking of risk tolerance, I have to ask a question. Is that ever correlated by someone's age? Do they ever go hand in hand?
So I think that a lot of people tend to become less risky as they get closer to retirement, which I think is kind of a natural thing, right? But I would argue that it's not age dependent so much as it is situationally dependent. So what I mean by that is, if you have all the income that you ever want and needed coming in, that in a way gives you a license to take some risk, because even if it doesn't work out, you still have your income to fall back on. Now, conversely, if you're in a position where you don't have a heck of a lot of foundational income, you may not have the ability to take quite as much risk, because you're going to need to count on those dollars to create that income in retirement. I'll tell you what, I've seen 80-year-old clients that invest like they're 30. Okay, but that's because they have a great pension that they can fall back on. And so they're comfortable taking risks. But I've also seen 50-year-old clients invest, you know, like they're 80, where they're not taking a whole heck of a lot of risk on. That's because all of those dollars are going to be used to create their income in retirement. So I would say risk tolerance is about understanding how much risk you can take to achieve your goals. I don't think it's so much a function of age as it is a function of what your income is going to look like in retirement. If you've never thought about it this way, if you've never thought about how to build out your financial house and create the strongest foundation possible, just give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. When you call in, you'll be able to schedule that complimentary, no obligation visit with our team at Elite Income Advisors. When you come in to visit with us, it's a conversation about your retirement plan, where you want to be in the future, and what tools do you have access to help get you there? How can you create a foundational income and then start to build the walls and the roof with higher risk investments potentially. But it really starts with having a written plan in place. When you come in to visit with us, we're going to help you down that path. It's 833-308-5200.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen. That number is 833-308-5200. We're talking about the importance of building your fiscal house, and please don't miss the opportunity to call in. That number again is 833-308-5200. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Retire Smart Maryland, but when we come back, I want to talk to Prashant and Ozzy about how the face of retirement has changed through the years, looking back in the past, the way perhaps our parents and grandparents retired to what we are seeing today. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter, the one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi and Ozer Culhagil of Elite Income Advisors. Gentlemen, a great show we're having today, talking about the retirement income gap, building your fiscal house. And in this final segment, I want to talk to you a little bit about how the face of retirement has changed through the years. I'm thinking back in the past when people used to have that date circled on their calendar and they had something to look forward to. And they had the cake and the gold watch, and then that was it. But that's not the face of retirement today. Prashant, what are you seeing today that's different?
Look, retirement used to be almost like a three-legged stool, right? It was made up of pension from your employer, Social Security from the government. And so all you had to do was worry about this one small part of it, which was your personal savings. But through the years, pensions have done what? They've started to go away, right?
Absolutely.
We can say they're mismanaged, underfunded, low interest rate environment, whatever you want to call it, pensions have started to be phased out. And with that, we have a changing retirement picture, okay? What I would say is that the burden of responsibility has really shifted in the last 10 or 15 years. It's shifted from the employer who provided the pension to all of our viewers out there, the employees who are now saving more and more money into things like their 401k, 403b, TSP, in order to fund their retirement income. And it's created something that I call the wealth effect, okay? And the wealth effect is this idea that people are saving more and more money than they ever have before. And that's created a real need for figuring out how you're going to manage that money in retirement. I'll tell you, when we started doing this, I mean, I've been doing this about 10 years. Ozzy's been doing it a little bit longer than, a lot longer than I have. But with that being said, in the last 5 years, we have more millionaires and multimillionaires coming into our office trying to figure out how to manage this money to create the income that they need in retirement simply because they don't have a pension.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you said before the break, we think about our parents and grandparents, and so many of those folks had pensions.
Absolutely.
Where they didn't have to worry about saving millions of dollars to retire. They just had their retirement taken care of through their hard work in a pension and Social Security. So this is a growing concern, and I think this is what our viewers are coming in talking to us about every single day. It's really a changing retirement picture.
Ozzy, are you seeing more people being very active today in their retirement as far as just doing trips and maybe just some really cool bucket list items like, I don't know, climbing Mount Everest? Are you seeing that?
Actually, I have a friend, I do believe, he would like to climb there as soon as possible, but most of the time that what I'm seeing is like the people are work so hard and they start making this list. I want to do this, I want to do that. And they are really being more active because what they are seeing is like the health is change and the climate is change and the people are, most of the people that we are seeing it is getting healthier and healthier every day.
Yeah.
And Prashant say this most of the time, that we're going to spend more time in retirement than working years,
It's
right?
amazing.
But at the end, we're going to have to make sure that, we have all the, the incomes and everything is in place to be able to do all the things that we would like to do.
You look at it, and it's like you work for 3 or 4 decades and you sacrifice, right? Like so many people come in and they're in a saver's mindset, right? That's why they're able to save $500,000 or $1 million is because they've been diligently putting money away for the last 30 or 40 years. Well, at some point in time, you got to make that sacrifice worth something, right? If you're going to sacrifice for 30 years to save money, you should go enjoy it at some point in time.
Absolutely.
And so, it's kind of funny because we meet with a lot of folks that have a real kind of mental hurdle transitioning from that saving phase to that spending phase, right? And I was meeting with somebody recently, and he told me that they want to travel to Asia. And they'd never been, but it's always been on their list to do. But they feel like they just can't bring themselves to spend the money that it's required to do that. And I said, look, with the plan that we put together, you have income coming in from here. You have a separate pot of money from here that you can pull money out of, and it won't really impact you in retirement to take that money out. And it's just a mindset thing.
Yeah.
He was just having trouble, and he just said, look, I've always been a saver my entire life. How do I transition to that? And I said, maybe that requires a different type of appointment that I
The one that needs a couch.
yeah, that I can't help you with. But it's really interesting. I mean, if you're going to sacrifice for this long, you only have so many years where you're healthy and you're active. So go out and do it. And that's what I think having a real plan is all about.
And sometimes the people think that, like, you know, in a situation like what Prashant says, like the client wants to go to take this big trip and wants to spend that money, but they think they don't have enough money because they never had a plan done and they don't know what's going on. And they, even though they have the enough money and all the things in the world, they think that they don't have enough money because of their mindset. It's like they gotta have to save. Okay, but now you save. This is the most important time.
Sometimes it just takes having it mapped out for you where you can actually just look at it. And at the end of the day, you look at it and you realize it's just numbers, right? You have incomes coming in, you have expenses going out. All we have to do is adjust that expense side of it to include all the fun things you want to do. And as long as the income can support that, then you can live and do the things that you want to do. And a lot of people just haven't mapped it out. It's really that simple. You know, a lot of times people try to make retirement really complicated. And that's the opposite of what we like to do. I mean, we can make it as complicated, talking about risk and Morningstar analysis and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's really simple. It's just about income coming in and expenses going out. If you can create that balance of income to expenses, then you're going to be just fine in retirement. But that's the struggle that so many people face, and that's what we love helping people with. It's by far the most fulfilling part of the job is getting to do an annual review or quarterly review with a client and hearing about the trip to Italy or hearing about the river cruise in the Mediterranean or whatever it is. Those are what makes it fun for me, at least. At least it's something for me to look forward to maybe one day. And so that's why we do what we do. All you have to do is just pick up the phone and give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. When you call in, you'll be able to schedule that complimentary, no obligation visit with our team at Elite Income Advisors. Our offices are located in Ellicott City, right off of Route 100. We're just across from the Victoria Gastropub, right next door to the Dunkin' Donuts. But when you come in to visit with us, we're going to take you through your retirement plan. We'll talk about your retirement spending. We'll take a look at your retirement income, determine if there's an income gap, and figure out how we're going to solve that income issue in retirement. But when you come in, it's complimentary, and it's really just about getting you the confidence that you need.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so
Thank you.
much. To our viewers at home, most specifically, thank you for spending time with us today on Retire Smart Maryland. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. Thank you for watching, and please keep those questions coming. We love hearing from you. Take care now.